Well, President-elect Donald Trump has issued a warning to Hamas. Release the hostages in Gaza before he takes office or pay a heavy price.
3 Americans are among the 60 hostages still believed to be alive in Gaza. Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem.
The incoming president delivered a strong message to Hamas, demanding the release of the hostages in Gaza by the time he takes office. Trump wrote on social media, "If the hostages are not released prior to January 20th, 2025, there will be all hell to pay in the Middle East and for those in charge who perpetrated these atrocities against humanity." Trump's statement comes just days after an emotional appeal by Israeli-American Idan Alexander on a Hamas propaganda video, and the announcement that Hamas murdered another Israeli-American hostage, Omer Nutra, after Hamas took him captive when his tank was overrun on October 7th. President Biden also responded to the news, releasing a statement that read in part, "Less than a month ago, Omer's mother and father joined me at the White House to share the pain they've endured as they prayed for the safe return of their son, pain no parent should ever know." House Speaker Mike Johnson posted, "Please join us in praying for the Nutra family as we continue to seek justice against Hamas and the return of Omer's body." On Israel's northern border, the ceasefire is holding, despite Hezbollah firing mortar shells into a disputed site on the Israeli-Lebanese border. Israel responded with military strikes. Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar said Hezbollah forces operating south of the Litani River violates the ceasefire.
They must move north immediately. I want to emphasize, Israel is committed to the successful implementation of the ceasefire, but we will not accept a return to the situation as it stood on October 6, 2023. If violations occur, Israel will enforce.
In Syria, Islamist radicals strengthen their grip on Aleppo, Syria's second largest city. Christians inside the city are terrified. One couple telling CBN News they fear for their lives and possible massacres.
And so now we have what's called Hayat Tel al-Sham, a terrorist group that is known as being jihadists who follow Sharia law, have just taken over Aleppo. And while they've announced that they're not targeting Christians or any religious minorities right now, there's much fear because the way they've governed Idlib, where they currently control, they've been using Sharia law there.
Nadine Maenza, the president of the International Religious Freedom Secretariat, tells CBN News it's vital for Christians to pray and speak out.
I think this is a time for the church to come together and think about how we can support those who are suffering. So many good organizations doing work for those who are fleeing to provide support. So many ways we can tell the stories that we're reading about, hearing about. So, we're supposed to remember our brothers and sisters in chains. And this is one of those times where we can remember those who are suffering and pray for them and do what we can to support them.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, elections do make a difference. I'm old enough to remember when Ronald Reagan took office, there were hostages. They were being held in Iran. They were all our embassy workers, U.S. citizens, and they were being held for forever. I mean, it just seemed to go on and on and on. There was a nightly news show that was based entirely on when are the hostages going to be released, and under Jimmy Carter, a failed rescue attempt. But then Ronald Reagan took office, and the day he took office, Iran said, we're going to give you back the hostages. We're not going to hold them anymore. It's so refreshing to see the exercise of strength in order to maintain peace. When you pull back, when you aren't willing to commit, but here is an incoming president giving a very clear warning to Hamas that there's going to be a big price to pay if you don't release them by January 20. We'll see what this will do, but my hope is they will lay down their arms, unconditionally surrender, release all of the hostages. Then we can look at what's the new government of Gaza going to be, what's the security concerns for Israel, and we can all move on and move on in peace. Hamas is the evil actor in this. Keep that in mind. All these calls for Israel to have a unilateral ceasefire and just let Hamas continue to attack them and repeat October 7 again and again. Are you out of your mind to make that kind of call? Who would ever agree to that? We have to defeat Hamas. The world community has to. We have to stand in solidarity with Israel, and we have to see this all the way through to a final peace.